you managed the Irish team for 7 years. Liam was part of the coaching setup when Trapattoni was here. I want to ask you about Roy Keane and his place in the Irish setup. Again last week he became embroiled in controversy. It dates back to the summer when he had a row with Harry Arthur, who's a very, very good player, and John Walters, who's a bit of a hero really. John would play with a broken leg, you know, he soldiers away up front, and is a very game lad. He had a history with Keane at Ipswich, where Keane also got embroiled in trouble with him. But today, Independent.ie, and yesterday the Sunday World, and today the Irish Daily Star have revealed, and Independent.ie very graphically, the nature of the row between Keane and Harry Arthur and the John Walters. It's very graphic, so if you have a child in the car, don't listen. But what Keane said to Harry Arthur and John Walters, he called Harry Arthur a wanker and a prick, and he said, if I was picking the team, you wouldn't be in it. Walters was also abused and shouted at, but he fought back. Harry Arthur didn't. Now Keane is the Irish assistant manager, John, and this surely cannot be allowed to happen on Martin O'Neill's watch. It's his responsibility ultimately.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt about that, Eamon. I mean, I didn't hear this before. I knew there was a row. I didn't know what the details were.
This is not what the detail. These are reported by reputable journalists in reputable news outlets.
Well, whatever way it is, Eamon, it shouldn't happen. Roy Keane is assistant manager of the Irish team, and assistant manager is there to assist the manager. And this time of thing shouldn't happen at the best of times. You know, I saw Martin in the paper yesterday. I was reading the paper yesterday where he was going back on Roy's career, where he shouted at Scholes and he shouted and drove on the Manchester United. And this is a bit of apples and oranges, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
That's when Keane was a player on the pitch. He's entitled to do that, and he was a great player, as we all know, and he drove them on and drove them. He's assistant manager now. He's not a player.
Yeah.
He should be dealing with the players, and especially players who are injured. Players who are injured, unless they're really kidding on, need a lot of sympathy and a lot of help.
Yeah.
Right. We've all been injured as footballers. There's nothing worse than being injured and you can't play. Now, in Arthur's case, in Roy's situation with that, if he felt, or Martin O'Neill felt that Arthur was kidding on, then he shouldn't be picked.
Yeah.
If they feel that he's not been kidding, then he needs sympathy
and support.
And support.
Yeah.
You don't need to be told I wouldn't pick. No, this is nonsense. This is very, very serious stuff, because, as you know, morale in a football team is very, very fragile, and there's no doubt the rest of the players definitely would have known exactly what happened in that situation, and that doesn't help the spirit of the team. Can't help the spirit of the team. So this is wrong. Whatever way you look on it is wrong. And like Martin is defending him now because he in the paper I saw yesterday that he's done great work on the draft. Well, that could be the case. There's nobody, whether he does or he doesn't, that's not it. But what is not disputed, that as assistant manager should be helping Martin, and in the Arthur case, he hasn't helped him at all. In fact, Arthur said, I don't want to play. You know, he doesn't want to be picked again because of the row he had with Roy Keane. That's not helping the manager. Actually, that's been destructive more than anything else.
Liam, Roy Keane is a very formidable figure. He can glare at people and scare them. He has a very big reputation because of what he did as a player. In fact, Harry Arthur paid a very handsome tribute to him last year when he first joined the Irish setup. We can't afford to lose Harry Arthur in this way. Can we afford to have an assistant manager who's behaving in that aggressive manner to players?
No, I don't think you do. The thing that strikes me about Roy Keane, and has done for many a year now, is I don't think he likes football, and I don't think he likes players. I thought that might get a laugh from you, but you know, you worked with him when you did his book a good few years ago, and I read that book, and what came across to me was things like, well, I don't have any friends in the game, you know, I don't associate myself with other players. which is difficult for someone like me to understand, because one of the best memories of my career are about the lads I met and the lads I enjoyed being with along the way, along the journeys, whether I was playing in Italy or I was playing for the Irish team or I was playing for Arsenal or West Ham. I've still really got strong friendships with a lot of the players. And Roy came and said, well, no, I don't. And when you hear him speak about football in his punditry role, again, it comes across that he doesn't like modern-day footballers, or he doesn't like what they get and so forth. And I think this thing is boiling inside of him. And if he gets an idea in his head where maybe Harry Arter wants to pull out of training because he doesn't fancy it that morning, he can fly off as he did. You can't do that anymore. You know, you couldn't even do it in any day when you're assistant manager. John's right; he's there to assist. And in this case, he's not assisting Martin O'Neill. In fact, he's damaging a squad that's weak in many ways anyway, and we can't afford to lose any players because of these things.
Yeah,
and going on to other things, he's been an assistant way above his station. You know, every time there was an Irish game, there was a story about Roy Keane, whether he was having a go at somebody or whether he was launching another book of his at the time. Now, I couldn't even understand how Martin O'Neill would put up with that. You know, he's got an international match and Roy Keane decides to launch his book the week of the international game.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
You know, it's really taking the piss, isn't it? You know,
it is. Yeah,
it really is taking the piss out of the Irish soccer team. And I think Martin O'Neill, or the powers that be, John Delaney, has got to say, this is enough of this. This has got to stop.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to say, Liam, I just tell you the story about his relationship with the other Manchester United players. He told me that the only player he ever socialised with, and that was only once, was Nicky Butt, and he'd been there 10 years at the time. But on another,
well, you get my point, Eamon.
Totally.
When he speaks about football and footballers, it looks to me as if it brings him no joy at all.
Yeah,
no joy. And I can watch a football match, and if I see a great team or a great player, it makes me happy. It looks as if it makes Keane angry. I don't know what it is.
John, well, there's a Jekyll and Hyde aspect to Roy Keane, because, and I will say this as we're discussing him now, in terms of Liam Miller's, the late Liam Miller's testimonial match in Cork, which is coming up later this month. Keane has been very supportive and done a lot of good work. He does guide dogs for the blind. It is only right to put that into the equation, but he's still given his reputation. Should he be assistant manager when he cannot seem to behave in the way required of an assistant manager? That is, to be subtle, to be off the back pages, and to get on with his work.
No, I don't think he's temperamentally equipped, Eamon, to play that particular role. I mean, Roy Keane is what he is, and what he is actually is what made him a great player. What made him a great player, like all great players, are never satisfied with what they do. They have to do better. He had that when he was a player. Now, I think he had it in sort of a cranky way. You know, I think he drove the players on that he played with because of this crankiness and the will to do it himself and drive them on.
Yeah.
But I ever got the feeling that there was respect from the players and fear, I think, from the players, which in many ways were good. But I don't think there was any affection. You know, and Liam made a point when he was asked about Beckham, I think years ago. I don't have his number. I don't have his. That, you know, that's most unusual. I never came across that in any other player, the players that I played with. And Liam is absolutely right. When I played with the Leeds lads for 12 years, we're still close to this day. We had rows on the pitch. I had rows with Norman Hunter and Eddie Gray on the pitch or in the dressing room. But it was in the interest of the team. And then we were pals. And the best times I ever had, and Liam would be the same, is getting together, not talking about, oh, you scored this goal or you scored that. It was respect for each other that we played together, and the joy of winning when we were doing what we were doing. And Roy doesn't seem to have that.
No.
in any way, even to this day. I never hear him talking about, oh, I played with Scholes, he was a great player and we had a great... It's, no time for that. He doesn't say that. But there's not that connection. So there's a crankiness about him somehow in his nature. I don't know him very well, but that's what we say. But if you talk about being equipped to be assistant manager, definitely not.
Yeah,
definitely not.
I mean, I've heard and talked to players who played at Sunderland when he was there, Liam, and also at Ipswich, and certainly around that have been in the Irish camp when he's been there. They are fearful of him in a certain way. He's intimidating. That's the word I'm looking for. That's not what you really want, is it?
Well, I suppose we had our tough managers in our day, going back to years, and you wouldn't get on the wrong side of them. But the player, well, John, yeah, absolutely, John would give you a dressing down. But then, if you responded to it, it would be forgotten. Going back to Roy Keane, he's had his problems with players all down through his managerial career, where he's been falling out with players left, right and centre. And does that make him equipped to be assistant manager? No, you would have to give Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane praise for qualifying for the Euros. But all that goodwill seems to have been ruined, and it's one, ruined with the way we're playing and the style of play, and it's now ruined by the results we're getting, and it's also coming to the fore that things can't be right between the players and the managerial team because of the assistant manager.
Okay.